Alpha FPV Drone wants to know, what drone do you recommend to fly indoor with 4K for real estate? The Avata. That's not the answer people want to hear from a FPV channel. But for someone who doesn't have any experience flying drones, is a real estate agent, and wants to get fly-through footage, the Avata is the actual best answer because it's so easy to fly. However, the actual right answer is to get a camera like a GoPro on a stick and just do the fly-through with like a 360 cam on a stick or a GoPro on a stick. There's drone fly-through. I'm trying to think of the right way to put this. Drone fly-throughs are cool, but most people who aren't experienced drone pilots can get a great walkthrough of a real estate building with a handheld camera or a camera on a stick, so you could kind of put it up high and then kind of move it down low, you know. If you want a drone, though, get it with an Avata. A gimbal, a camera, like if you bought like a cheap gimbal or an expensive gimbal, why not? Get a gimbal so you can really do nice camera moves and just walk through the damn house moving the gimbal around, and you'll get just as good results as a drone, maybe better, especially because you don't know how to fly a drone yet, probably. But if you want a drone, get the Avata. From Christopher Concrete. You're going to start us off. I got my first drone, just a ducted 3-inch, since I can take the duct off. Can explain a bit about props. I wanted to buy replacements, but pitch 1mm or 1.5mm, wire 2.9 by 2.9 by 4 on Rotor Riot, but 3 by 4 by 3 elsewhere. I'm not sure I'm following, actually, this question. I thought you're buying a ducted 3-inch. It'd be nice to know what drone it is. I mean, the 2.9 versus the 3. What props is he even talking about? Let's see here. Drone parts. We got propellers. No, apparently propellers are not a part of a drone. Really? What? Oh, parts by frame. How about this? Cinewhoop. Do we have props? No. Okay, propellers are not part of a drone. Good to know, Blunty. I learned... Oh, here we are. Never mind, I take it back. So these are the HQ 3-inch. These are... I guess those are Cinewhoop props. They're a little bit of bullnose props. Just specifically for use with ducts. 3-inch HQ prop. Doesn't actually have the dimensions. That's interesting. Let's see. And then what else is he talking about? 2.9 by 2.9 by 4. Where is he seeing a 2.9 by 4? There we go. That's the quad blades. I mean, since it's a quad blade... so there's a trend... Hold on. There's a trend in like 5-inch props where some people will run 4.9-inch props because the smaller props are more responsive. And I wonder if that's what's going on here. We've got a quad blade prop. That extra fourth blade is going to cause extra load on the motors and create extra thrust. And I wonder if HQ has just gone down to a 2.9-inch to try and make the diameter a little smaller and make the prop a little more responsive as a counterpoint. You know, a 2.9-inch versus a 3-inch, those are all going to sort of work on a 3-inch Cinewhoop. They're just going to have different flight characteristics. None of them are going to be like right or wrong. As far as the pitch goes, 1 versus 1.5. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about there, because like here, the pitch on this prop is a 2.9-inch. I'm not really sure what you're referring to when you say a 1 versus 1.5. I think the gist of your question is you want to buy props for your 3-inch. And the answer is props are not that expensive. They're usually $3 or $4 a set. And it's well worth trying different props and seeing what flight characteristics they have and how you like them. It's not that expensive to experiment, and I encourage people to experiment. Steve Tricks points out that 2.9-inch leaves a little more space between the ducts, and maybe some people want that. That may be true. Yeah. Let's see here. All right. Hopefully that was helpful. We got a question here from Sam asking, do M10 GPS units still need the U-center fix with Betaflight 442? The fix for the M10 GPSs, where Betaflight cannot auto-configure an M10 GPS, my understanding is that's coming in Betaflight 4.5. So, yes, they still need the U-center fix until Betaflight 4.5. That's how I believe it's going to work. Big Data Pimp says it's hard to believe just 1/10 of an inch makes that big of a difference in responsiveness. Big Data Pimp, that'd be an interesting question. The 4.9 versus the 5 versus the 5.1. There's a lot of people who feel like they can feel the difference. It'd be interesting to see if like somebody like Chris Rosser, who measures prop responsiveness, could measure a difference. Nate Petrella wants to know, should I set my analog camera to 4.3 or 16.9? My Fat Shark Recon goggles have a 16.9 display. Is there an advantage to either? Nate, there's two ways to think about this. The first way to think about this is that you want your analog field of view to match your goggle field of view. And the reason for this is that if you have a 16.9 camera and a 16.9 goggle, then the image will fill the screen. And that's nice. You want to use all those pixels that you're paying for. However, you could take a 4.3 camera, and if your goggles support it, they will stretch it to the width of the 16.9 screen. At that point, though, your image is getting stretched and it kind of looks weird, which you may not like, okay? So the other way to think about this is that you want your camera to be using the native aspect ratio of its sensor. So the camera can be designed around a sensor that is 16.9 or 4.3, and when the camera's aspect ratio matches the sensor's aspect ratio, you will get the maximum field of view. So if I have a camera with a 4.3 sensor and I set it to output a 16.9 image, what it will do is it will crop off the top and the bottom of that image, and then it'll zoom it in. Now, whether this is okay or not depends a lot on the field of view of the lens. If you have a lens with a very wide field of view, then maybe cropping in on it is no big deal. But usually you will get the best field of view and the best image because the manufacturer will design the camera and the lens around the field of view of around the aspect ratio of the sensor itself. So my approach is, if I have goggles with a 16.9 screen, I am going to try to buy cameras with a native 16.9 aspect ratio so that I can maximize my field of view and avoid any cropping or stretching. That's not always going to be possible. Like, you're not always, like, a lot of cameras just have a 4.3 sensor, or a lot of cameras, maybe they just have a 16.9 sensor and you don't have a lot of choice. But that's my approach. The ideal approach to me is to pick the field of view that you like. Some people just like a widescreen field of view. Maybe they like a 4.3 field of view. Pick the field of view that you like, buy goggles that have the field of view that you like, and then buy cameras that have a native sensor with the same field of view that you like. So everything is 4.3 or everything is 16.9 all the way through the chain. As soon as you switch field of views, as soon as you set a camera with a 4.3 sensor to a 16.9 field of view, or you send a 16.9 image to a goggle with a 4.3 screen, as soon as you mix aspect ratios, you get some letterboxing and cropping, and things are less good than they could be. That's my take on that.